comedian Theo hosted Senator Bernie Sanders on his podcast called This Past Weekend. The pair talked about American democracy, the media, a 32-hour work week, and Bernie's favorite, healthcare for all. The Vermont senator hit on United States healthcare problem, or rather the United States healthcare problem, in the first 15 minutes. Let's watch.
The whole idea that healthcare in America, unlike every other major country, all right, go to Europe, go to Canada, go to many Latin American countries. It is a bloody right, not a privilege. And that's what I think it should be. So we have a system that works very well for the insurance companies and the drug companies. In some cases, you're going to pay 10 times more for medication in America than they do in other countries. That's a whole other story we're trying to deal with right now. But it's a corrupt system benefiting the people who own it, not the ordinary American. You go out on the street, say to people, do you think healthcare is a human right? All people in America should have it. Yeah, we do. That's what I'm fighting for.
Vaughn brought up how many Americans see the tears in the fabric of our country. Take a look.
As a person who, has felt like in their life, maybe their father died in a war, their grandfather died in a war, and they've tried to pay their taxes and be a, considerate person in their town or their country. After a while, those good people starts to erode a little, because they don't feel like, and they lose their sense of purpose, man. When you lose the fabric of your society, a lot of people, that's how they didn't even realize it. A lot of us don't even realize we identify as an American. And when you realize, well, America, it's nothing, but it's a shell LLC for big corporations, then what am I? I'm just a idiot, and you almost feel ashamed of yourself, or you can, anyway, I don't know. A lot of that stuff I just don't see how people think that that's good, or how you're going to still be able to get people to buy in.
Theo, I think you said it better than I did.
The two-time presidential candidate elaborated on his experience going up against the Democratic establishment. Take a look.
I ran in 2016. I ran against Hillary Clinton, and I ran in 2020.
Yeah, I remember, and I felt like you didn't get treated fairly, to be honest with you.
I didn't, and that's what happens when you take on the establishment. So what happened is, we won the first three primaries, and then the establishment got very, very nervous, and there were a whole lot of candidates in the Democratic primary, and they said, hey, it'd be a good idea if you all dropped out, let Joe Biden be the one candidate. People rallied around him.
When asked about Kamala Harris, Bernie said this.
She's persistent, she's strong, and I respect that, and I think she'll be a good candidate. I was interested that Trump apparently backed out of a debate with her on ABC. And I wouldn't, I have debated her, as a matter of fact. She's tough.
It was just such a good exchange. I feel like Theo he's from Louisiana, I believe, very representative of regular people thinking about the country, thinking about these issues. And Bernie Sanders, comparing his demeanor in an interview with a regular person, I mean, it's a lot of what I saw on the campaign trail. I remember one of the volunteers I had who knocked doors for the campaign, Sue, she was great. And I was like, we need you to speak at this rally. Your story about how you lost the farm following NAFTA policy and all of these disastrous farm bills, people need to hear it. And she was very shy, very nervous. And, Bernie and Jane are backstage. I'm like, it's going to be fine soon. Bernie comes over and he's like, what's going on? Are you nervous to speak? And I'm like, yeah, but, this is going to be fine. She's just going to speak from the heart. And he goes, that's what you need to do. And it's good to see his arms are still working very well. But yeah, that's just who he is. And the way he talks with a regular guy, so different from how he talks to, the New York Times editorial board, sussing out if they want to endorse him or not. Well, so it's good to see him in this environment.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very effective speaker. Look, I respect him. I don't agree with him on very much, although I certainly agree that there are problems with our healthcare system. When he's talking about a system that's mostly designed for the benefit of insurance companies, I absolutely agree with that. It's the system we have is not a good one. I think we would disagree on what the solution to that is, but I would never defend the current system. It is wildly inefficient and wasteful. But he's a very effective advocate for his ideas, and he's a year older than Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. But I would never accuse him of cognitive decline, because he has no cognitive decline. He is as sharp as ever. He he is unchanged. He's exactly who he is. And it shows you that this kind of thing hits people at different stages of their life. People can go on being completely effective and altogether there in their 80s and even 90s in some cases. He hasn't slowed down a bit. And the contrast between that, it's not really the number itself. It's because it's different for every person. You know, he's 82, Biden's 81. The difference for Biden over time is so dramatic. It actually seems more dramatic to me when you then hear from someone like Bernie Sanders. Like, they're not, everybody's getting older, but everybody's not getting older at the same rate.
Yeah, I appreciate Theo Vaughn bringing in the feelings of what it's like to work in a country where a lot of the jobs are with the biggest corporations. Walmart and Amazon are some of the biggest employers, and wages being so low that you can't afford an average rent apartment in many cities. In a lot of them, you can't afford even median rent. That's crazy, and I can't imagine the people that were listening to Bernie in 2020 and 2016 who maybe didn't see that side of America, didn't see the trends in productivity per hour increasing exponentially since 1950 for people doing manual labor, and seeing the compensation for wages in terms of purchasing power, inflation-adjusted wages, going down and down and down. You've got to feel unappreciated by your society because a lot of what we do in our waking hours is work. And we're a country of a lot of workers. We have a higher employment rate than a lot of other countries. So much of our identity is associated with our work.
My identity is wholly based on my work. I am nothing beyond this show. I shut down. I'm a robot. I go to sleep when the camera's not on.
Yeah, I think it breaks people's hearts to see their work seemingly not appreciated when they can hardly pay their bills but are giving all of their time to their job.
Yeah.
So I think it's good they touched on that.
Yeah. I'm just always glad to see political figures do alternative media, talk with people like Theo Vaughn who don't fit neatly into one box or another. You know, I'm sure he has he probably has a lot of conservative people. They might not even think of themselves as conservative people, not like Republicans, but people who are culturally conservative or at least like anti-wokeness, anti-political correctness. You know, what some people call the barstool conservatives. Probably has that kind of audience. So it's always a smart idea. More political figures should do it to go into spaces like that. If you're if you're a committed ideological Democrat, as Bernie is, to speak to that audience. Although there's probably an eclectic bunch, just like the people watching our show are an eclectic bunch. And I think it's always to the benefit of important, influential figures to swing by, chat with us, and see what the viewers think. More Rising right after this.